Now, from the Student Union on the campus of UW-La Crosse, it's the Mike Schmidt Football Show. The Mike Schmidt Football Show is brought to you by Honda Motor Works, your electric, natural gas, and hybrid vehicle headquarters at 4th and Cass, La Crosse. By Schilling Supply, serving businesses with critical supplies since 1897. Schumacher Kish Funeral and Cremation Services in La Crosse, La Crescent, and Onalaska. And Associated Bank. Experience the better side of banking at Associated Bank. Now, here's your host of today's program, Terry Erickson.
Welcome to UW-La Crosse. We are in the beautiful Entertainment Cafe here in the Student Union for the Mike Schmidt Football Show. The show is live on the stream and played back every Tuesday at 6:30 on KQEG. We also want to thank our guests, many in support of the show and many in support of Mike Schmidt and Eagle football. Many familiar faces here again today. And now, the star of the show, Coach Mike Schmidt.
There we go. Here we go.
Whoa!
Well, it's about time.
It's about time. Well, you spent a weekend, I'm sure, watching tape of the game, looking at ooh, there were some opportunities there, and we didn't quite capitalize. But you also took a little road trip to see a game in person.
Yeah, we actually had a Saturday off, and instead of actually taking it off, we went and watched the Platteville-Oshkosh game. So, yeah, whatever, no off days, I guess, getting going. But you shouldn't when you lose a game. So
was that a good road trip?
It was. It was good. Coach Miller, Coach McGlenn, and I, we cruised down to Platteville, and some great staff bonding. We'll put it that way. There we go.
Well, an injury update. We should start with that.
Yeah.
So, not a good weekend. You lose Tarek Yagi. The Packers lose, what was that guy's name again?
Yeah, right. 12. Just call him 12.
Aaron Rodgers. And oh my gosh. Well, Aaron Rodgers, a little more serious injury. But everybody's in suspense wondering about Tarek Yagi.
Yeah, and we thought it might have been, initially we thought it was going to be a broken collarbone on the sidelines and at halftime, and that would mean he would be done for the rest of the season. And turns out after we went through everything, he's got a shoulder sprain, he's got an AC joint sprain in his throwing shoulder. So we'll see, maybe a week or two. He's definitely going to be out this week against Oshkosh, but he'll be back at some point this year. But we feel really great about where Drew David's at and how he played in the game the other day. So we just pick up right where we left off and keep moving. Well,
by the way, stick around because Drew David will be our guest in the next episode. But Drew David did well. Yeah. However, when he came in, I mean, there was a collective holding of everybody's breath when Tarek Yagi went down.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what happens, when you're starting quarterback and the guy that just set your school record for total yards in the season, he's on pace with just a marvelous statistical season right now, goes out, hey, that's part of the deal. It's part of football. And really, I mean, what we were trying to get to was that your best players then need to take a step and then win the game for you and really rally behind Drew, because Drew did just a fantastic job coming in. And as a team, we didn't really support Drew going forward and getting that. But I think you take the 30,000-foot view of what happened this weekend. So you go back 18 months ago and say, hey, next year you guys are going to be playing at Perkins Stadium on a short week in the pouring rain through a lightning delay. Your starting quarterback's going to miss over half the game, and you're going to lose by 7 points with the ball in your hand at the end of the game. I think you look at it and it just kind of shows you where we've kind of set the expectation and how far along we've already come with the program. So, moving forward this year, eventually you have to win one of those games against those great teams to really get in that conference championship race.
So when you break down the stats, 7 for 23 in third down conversions, 2 for 2 in the red zone, only 2 penalties. This is reflective of coaching for 15 yards compared to Whitewater's 17 penalties, probably a record. You ran 94 plays, which I think was the most you ran perhaps all season. Yep. But 273 yards passing and 51 yards rushing. Any concerns?
Yeah, we got to get the ball going. We got to get the ball going on the ground a little bit better than what we did. And we just, honestly, when we broke down the tape and looked at what we had, just had a lot of drops. And one thing that Whitewater did that we didn't do was they capitalized on big plays. We had really big plays that were negated. They had some big plays that they were able to bust through and really were able to convert on. And that's just what we couldn't find that big play, whether that was through the air or on the ground. We couldn't get the run game going efficiently enough for what we needed to do. And then we just had a lot of drops. I think we had 12 drops on the day, and that just came back and really hurt us in the end.
Uncharacteristic, by the way,
very,
of your receivers.
very.
Real quickly, breaking down the game, we were encouraged because you took the opening kickoff and you drove down to the Warhawk 23-yard line. You were stopped for no gain on 4th down. Rick and I work in a game, thought, I don't think with the weather a field goal is an option.
Yeah, not there, it wasn't. Just, with the weather that it had, we just kept on getting stopped kind of in that in-between area from the 25 to the 35, and it's like, well, we got to go for it on 4th down in those situations. We're not going to be kicking a 45-yard field goal in some of those weather conditions. So you just kind of saw that kind of catch up on us a little bit there. We got to convert those. We didn't convert a couple 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to lose those games when you don't convert those things, and that's reflective of the run game. We got to get it going a little bit.
Well, then Whitewater takes a 7-0 lead. Cole Wilbur and Marcus Hudson combined, and Drew Patterson, one of his 3 touchdowns. But you responded, and then it went incomplete on 4th down. So after 1, it was 7-0.
Yep.
And then in the second, 7-7, you go into a halftime tied.
Yeah, we felt good about where we were at. And really the defense was playing really well. We gave up the big play to Hudson that sets up their touchdown. That was really the story of the game. They have those 3 big plays that really account for all those yards. I know you'll talk about the second half big plays here in a second, but that big play to Hudson sets up and directly leads to a touchdown on the very next play. It's like you can't get. We knew that they were going to get big plays. They just can't lead to a touchdown directly right after that. So that really, it was kind of the story of the game. But going in the halftime, shoot, you're 7-7. Drew's in. Here we go. Let's get it going. And somebody come out and make some plays for us. And we couldn't find the play that we needed throughout the second half.
Interesting call talking to their coaches, though, during the week. They were afraid of your explosive plays as well as you were afraid of those. Well, in the 3rd quarter, Patterson scores again on a 1-yard run early in the 4th. Drew Patterson, his 3rd touchdown. With 2:11 left, Drew David comes in, hits Nick Holcomb, by the way, who had 11 catches,
Yep.
a career high.
Yep.
And then it's onside kick, and you couldn't get it with 1 minute remaining, but still a valiant comeback.
Yeah, I mean, we really the 93-yarder is a backbreaker for us with Patterson. Obviously, we had them backed up a lot of times there in the 3rd and 4th quarters, and we couldn't find a way to really put the ball through. As just like a punt fest going on. The reverse that they hit sets up a touchdown on the very next play. Patterson goes 93 yards for the touchdown, and those are just that one was just a backbreaker for what we had to do, because now you had to come back and score 14 points in the last 10 minutes of the game, get the offense going. We were able to get that last one, couldn't get the onside. Defense gave us a shot, got us the ball back again. We had a couple drops again on that next drive, and we just couldn't put it together on the day. But at the end of it, when you look back on it again, 30,000-foot view of it. We're in position to win at Perkins Stadium, where I think only 4 teams have in the last 12 years. And we got an opportunity to do it with the ball in our hands at the end of the game and just couldn't find the big play. So moving forward, that's the next step that we got to take.
Exactly. 4 wins, 92-4, I think, over those years. But real quickly, you had some bright spots. Noah Rich, 13 tackles. Michael Garvey, 7. Ryan Weber and Jacob Kruger, 6. So the defense played well. Actually, when you grade the team, the whole team played well except for those explosive plays.
Yeah, we just gave up big plays, and we didn't get big plays. And, coming out of it, we're still ranked 1st in the country in pass defense, which I just think, with how we're playing, as much man coverage as we're playing on, we're ranked number 1 in the country in passing yards allowed. So collectively as a defense, we're doing a pretty good job.
That says a lot right there. Well, when we come back, we're going to bring a valuable member of the coaching staff here on the Mike Schmidt Football Show right after this.
The all-new Honda Fit gives you the flexibility of the Magic Seat with the fuel efficiency you celebrate at the pump. From Honda Motorworks.
You'll love more miles per dollar. Honda Motorworks.
Since 1897, Schilling Supply Company has been your single-source provider of business solutions and supplies. Their 65,000 square foot facility stocks over 3,000 items ranging from packaging, janitorial, industrial, food processing, safety, and specialty products. Schilling Supply provides the essentials you need to meet your customers' and employees' expectations. Businesses like Gunderson, Quick Trip, Dynamic Recycling, and Badger Corrugating rely on Schilling Supply to deliver the right products at the right time. Schilling Supply Company. Visit on the web or call.
Stunning from any angle, the HRV is a crossover of style and versatility.
You'll love more miles per dollar. Honda Motor Works.
Welcome back to the Mike Schmidt Football Show, where we're joined on the set by a valuable assistant coach, assistant coach, line coach, character development, Bob Lichty. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, I actually know a lot about Coach from his resume. And when you look at his resume, coaching at Stout, at Mount Scenario, UW-Eau Claire. I actually worked games, he doesn't remember this, at Mount Scenario way back. By the way, you won some conference championships, Coach of the Year, coached at high school level. You've done everything in 43 years. Is that one of the reasons you brought him on the staff?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of it. And Coach Lichty and I go back to, Coach never coached me at Menominee. He got to Menominee right when I was done playing high school football there. But then I would always go back, work out during the season. Then obviously the guys that were still there were some of my best friends. And so through that connection, we really grew to know each other really well. And Coach really helped me out. My first ever American Football Coach Association clinic I'm going to. I go out there, I have no place to stay, no nothing, and Coach Lichty just brings me in. He's like the Statue of Liberty, bringing in the hungry and the poor right there. As this college student, I was trying to work out there and get a job. But then, fast forward to getting this opportunity, and it worked out really well for Coach to come on board with us and work last year with the D-line, this year with the DBs, and then obviously do everything that we're doing with our character development Our Way program with our guys. Well,
what brought you, after all those stops and impressive resume, what brought you to lacrosse?
Well, first I got fired at Eau Claire, and that opened the door.
Yep.
Oh,
No,
you? No, I don't believe that.
No, Mike and I have talked over the years, and we're kind of on the same page as far as character development and faith development and those things. And so we always kind of tossed around that if he ever got a job that I'd go with him, and it just happened that that door opened simultaneously. In fact, we were talking down at the convention prior to him getting hired. And so when he did, he gave me a call, and I came down. It was really an opportunity for me to come and continue to do what I really love to do.
Well, were you always that deeply involved in character development, FCA, spirituality, and so on? Or what kind of led you down that path?
Well, I think it's the people you come in contact with, and the longer you're in it, you realize that there's only so many wins and losses you're going to get, and so you have to look deeper than that in the kids you're really working with, the influence. And it goes back a long time ago to a lot of people, Rod Olson, Mark Hull, and these guys who've really brought along this three-dimensional coaching the heart. We're talking about, we have to do that today. We didn't do it when I played because we all had family units. We had all those things going on at home, and you just did whatever the coach told you. Well, today, that's become part of what we do. And, Mark always says, two most important words in the English language are coach says, and of course I kind of correct him. Mine is coach does. Players watch what we do and how we act and how we react, and that's what they learn from. 3D
character program, I'm familiar with it a little bit, but if you're going to break down real quickly the pillars of character that provide the cornerstone for UWL football, what would that be?
Well, I think this year we worked on Our Way, and it's defining what Our Way is. This week, in fact, we're going to be talking about perseverance. What happens when that loss comes? Do you persevere? And it's not just after the game or that. It's every day. We talk about what do we do every day to be better? What do we do better than the rest do? That's what the best do. And so that's our theme. The best do the little things better every day. They persevere better every day. They seize opportunities better every day. And so that's kind of our theme.
One of my favorite coaches and authors is Tony Dungy, and he talks about being uncommon. Perhaps you've read the book. Tremendous.
I got the band.
Yes. And he talks about never be defined by what you do, what you have, but be defined by what you do for others, the impact you have on others, and what you do on the field and off the field, and what you represent. And that's what you're all about, aren't you?
Right. I think we talk about servant leadership, and actually I just read something about servant. You let go of even the leadership part, is that you're there to serve. As coaches, we're here to serve our players. As assistant coaches, we're here to serve the head coach. And I think that's what we want our players, and a big part of what we're doing is that when they leave here, each week we ask them, what did you learn this week that you're going to carry forward? What's going to make a difference what you learned this week when you leave here, not just football practice, but when you graduate? What's our way going to have, what kind of influence is that going to have on the rest of your life?
And I'll jump in on that. One thing I asked all the players last spring when we went through a lot of our exit interviews, I asked them, what do you want to do? Where are we all going with this? And like over 70 of our players, so over 70 of 100, said to me, I just want to be the best. I just want to be the best I can do at whatever I do. And I'm like, okay, well, that's like a theme among all of them, that they're just they don't really know, have a direction, trying to find that way. But over 70 out of 100 guys said, I just want to be the best at what I do. I just want to do a good job at whatever it is I do. And so we're trying to so we kind of took that and said, all right, we got to help these guys kind of find their path here. So when they're done, that they can have a better understanding of where they really want to go and what they really want to do, rather than just saying, rather than just react to whatever the world brings to them, to try to get them to go out into the world, really blazing their own trails and really having a purpose for what they're trying to do.
What will you do collectively as coaches and as a character coach? The players have an element of adversity, okay? First time all season long. Mm-hmm. Some players respond to that in a positive way, others do not. How do you make sure you gauge that and pick people up after a letdown like Friday night?
Well, I'll jump in on that one first, and then, Coach, you can go. I mean, realistically, don't go and overhaul the whole thing, right? Like, one thing we talk about a lot is we're not going to focus on outcomes and circumstances. We're going to focus on our process and what we're trying to do, how we're trying to treat our guys, how our players are trying to play. And so don't go and just upend everything and change what we're doing. We're all right. Let's come back now and really stick to the process, and we fight through, and let's go compete. There's a pretty easy way to get over this loss. We have the third-ranked team in the country coming to our place in 5 days. So if you're going to hang on to a loss, you better get over it fast, or you're going to get embarrassed again.
Coach, what will you say to the players today, getting them mentally ready for Saturday?
Well, what we talk about here is that, wins and losses don't define who you are. It's what you do afterwards. And it's just as important that you look after a win as a loss. Is it, how do we move forward? Because you can get lulled to sleep with wins just as you can be devastated by losses. So we're going to talk to them today is the same we've talked to them all season. We're evaluate what happened on Saturday. Now, what do we do now? I think that goes back to what Coach said is, I want to be the best. We want players to be able to define, what does that look like? What does that look like? Not just be the best, what does the best look like? So we're going to say, what do we have to do today and this week? One of the questions is that what do I need to persevere better at practice with? What do I need to persevere better at school with? So we want exact examples, because that's what we really want them to do. We don't want them talking generalities. What are we going to do today that we need to be the best so we can be better than everybody else?
Well, it's working. You're 5-1, and Coach talked about you're on the defensive side of the football. You're ranked high defensively, and you've accomplished things off the field and on the field, and you're a big part of both components.
Well, I just think that our team is so much more than 5-1. We have great kids. We have a great staff. We have a great circumstance. I mean, one of the great things I get to do every day is I get to greet the whole team as they come on. I'm just there. And I tell you, it's so invigorating for me as a coach, being at as long as I have, just to see those guys every day, to come in, to connect with them. And so we're not 5-1. We're the Eagles. We're doing it our way, and we're hoping that the young men that come out of here in this program are better men, better fathers, better brothers, better sons than when they came in.
Well, and the paper said Ryan Weber galvanized the team. You galvanized the coaching staff because of your presence, so we appreciate that. Well, when we come back, we're going to have two key players, not in the next episode, but in the next segment. We'll be right back after these words.
Okay, thank you.
The all-new Honda Fit gives you the flexibility of the magic seat with the fuel efficiency you celebrate at the pump. From Honda Motorworks.
You'll love more miles per dollar. Honda Motorworks.
Since 1897, Schilling Supply Company has been your single source provider of business solutions and supplies. Their 65,000 square foot facility stocks over 3,000 items ranging from packaging, janitorial, industrial, food processing, safety, and specialty products. Schilling Supply provides the essentials you need to meet your customers' and employees' expectations. Businesses like Gunderson, Quick Trip, Dynamic Recycling, and Badger Corrugating rely on Schilling Supply to deliver the right products at the right time. Schilling Supply Company. Visit on the web or call.
Stunning from any angle, the HR-V is a crossover of style and versatility.
You'll love more miles per dollar. Honda Motorworks.
All right, welcome back to the Mike Schmidt Show for our final segment here this morning. Well, our guest today, Drew David, he's got a little bit of the GQ stubble from Canelan High School in Sugar Grove, Illinois, along with Jalen Clark, a star from Stoughton, Wisconsin. Well, when I got the word that these two guys are going to be the guests, I thought, all right, I don't really know these guys, but I watched them play on Friday night, and you got the right guys.
Yeah, these were, I mean, it's funny because I was just sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, what am I going to say about these guys? And I was going to say about how they're like some of my favorite guys. I feel like it's every week. I love the guys that we have, and these two are the exact same story with that. These are two of my favorite guys on the team. Obviously, getting Jalen back was huge for us this week. That was a big part of our run game, and we've been waiting to get him back, and I know he's been eagerly awaiting getting back after getting injured in that first game against Luther. So his presence back there was huge for us. And then Drew, I mean, just as we talked, he did a great job coming in for us, and I just talked to him before. He's all ready. I was talking to him when he was sitting over there, how ready he is for this week and his big time to go. But Drew's been ready the whole time. What a great player, what a great guy, what a great teammate, great leader for us. So he's going to step in, and the offense will keep going just like it has been, and feel really good about these two guys.
I'm not going to ask Drew, by the way, who his favorite NFL quarterback, because his lookalike is a guy by the name of, you ready? Doug Flutie, same size, Heisman Award winner, probably the best quarterback in the history of the NFL, under 6 feet tall.
Tell him who your favorite quarterback really is, though.
Well, my favorite quarterback really is Brett Favre. He's the reason I wear number 4.
So we really have a rule on the team. If you don't like Brett Favre, you can't play quarterback for us.
But see, Russell Wilson is your size too, by the way.
Yeah,
Yep.
still Brett Favre, though.
Yep.
So opportunity does not waste time with those that are unprepared. Get that? That was you on Friday night. Talk about that.
Oh, it was definitely something that I wasn't expecting to happen, but when I saw Tarek go down, I knew I was ready to go, and I just started throwing right away. And it took me a couple plays to get back into the swing of things and the speed of the game, but once I got back into it, I felt right at home with all the guys out there.
Totally unexpected, rainy, cold, and so on. You're enjoying the game, and all of a sudden, whoa! Now, not everybody is mentally and physically prepared for that sudden, spontaneous change.
Yeah, it's something that Coach Landry really preaches to me, is that anywhere on the football field, you're always just one play away from going into the game, no matter where you are. So that's something that I always take to heart, and I always make sure I'm ready to go. So
yeah, and Jalen Clark. I read about him being a star at Stoughton. Now, in case you didn't know, injured last year with a foot injury, sat out, and in the Luther game, fractured elbow,
dislocated
elbow. So it's like after one game, it's like, oh my God, don't tell me. Is that what went through your mind?
Yeah, pretty much. I was really frustrated when it happened. At first, I was just confused. I thought I broke my arm, but it told me it was just a dislocation, so it's better than a broken arm.
So your status is good now? You felt good about your accomplishments? You ran the ball well? on Friday night. What were your thoughts on that game?
Honestly, I was just ready to be back, start moving around and stuff. I mean, my main focus was ball security because, it was raining a lot. So I was just trying to make sure I held onto the ball as best as I could with all the rain. And more than anything, I was just trying to run as hard as I could. Their D-line was pretty good, so.
Pretty good. They were awful good, but you were up to the task, though. All of you were up to the task. Well, Drew David, you came in, you threw 2 touchdown passes. Rick and I were extremely impressed because you were ready, and you did a nice job. It looks like you read your progressions well. You stepped up in the pocket sometimes when the rush was ferocious, and you appeared to be right in stride.
Yeah, when I went back and watched the film, there's definitely some things that I wish I would have done differently and some things I could have done better. But overall, I mean, to have our team have a chance to win there at the end, I guess you can't ask for anything more. I just wish we were able to pull it out.
Well, your relationship with Coach Landry will intensify this week, starting today at 1 o'clock, when the game plan is sort of unveiled, at least a draft of it, and because you're the man this week. What's your thought on that?
It's not something that it's kind of sad that it has to be because Tark gets hurt, and so I'm hoping that he can get better as soon as he can. But at the same time, I'm ready to take the reins and lead this team wherever we need to go, and hopefully that ends with a win on Saturday.
Well, I'm sure we're confident, very confident in you, and we're confident in Jalen. And Jalen, what brought you to UWL?
Well, I was at Mankato, Minnesota State Mankato, before I came here, and I was looking to transfer. And I mean, a few schools contacted me, but La Crosse was after me the hardest. I talked to Coach Schmidt a little bit, Coach Landry, and I thought Coach Schmidt was a real cool coach. So I was like, it's one of the main reasons I came here because of the coaching staff. Everybody was telling me it was a good school, so I thought, why not,
Major?
Sociology.
And career plan someday?
Well, my minor is criminal justice, so maybe detective work.
Good for you. Okay, same major?
I'm a finance major with an econ minor. And
both good students. And someday?
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know exactly what I want to do yet, but something in business.
Big week for all of you. Homecoming week. What will it take to beat Oshkosh? Got to the championship game last year, and one of the best teams in the country. Talk about that. Talk about the week. Talk about what's going on in UWL. Talk about another special component of the Saturday.
Yeah, it's a big week. There's a lot of stuff going on, and like I said, no better way to get over a loss than getting ready to play one of the better teams in the country. And it's really cool. When I was at other places, you look and you're like, oh man, I wish we could just have a shot at Whitewater or Oshkosh or Platteville. Here, they just show up on your schedule every week, so that's kind of the great part about playing in this league. So, great team. They look as good as ever. Coming off a win at Platteville. It's a big week for us here. It's the homecoming game. It's sponsored by and presented by Quick Trip. So we're excited about them joining us as partners this week for the homecoming game. It's Wall of Fame game weekend. And it's also the 25-year national championship reunion for the 1992 team. So we have a breakfast, alumni breakfast in the morning. They'll be honored at the game. And then at night here in the Student Union, we have a little reunion a big reunion plan for them and all the coaches that'll be there. So really a special weekend. And then Jason Gagnon goes into our Wall of Fame on Sunday. So just a really big weekend for Eagle football. Other spots this week. Soccer's on the road a couple game days this week. Cross country's at Luther on Friday, and then tennis has their conference championships this weekend. So big week all around here with Eagle Athletics.
And by the way, we'll be there to cover the game. 2 o'clock kickoff time. It's supposed to be a good week of practice and preparation and on Saturday. So we want to thank you for being on the show, guys.
Thank you. I
and
appreciate
Coach
it.
again. Hope you enjoyed the Mike Schmidt Show here on KQEG. We recognize our sponsors as we close: Schilling Supply, Schumacher Kish, Honda Motorworks, and Associated Bank, as well as all of our friends, coaches, and students that are here in the Student Union. We'll be here each week to talk Eagle football. Next week, of course, after the game at 11 a.m. Please remember the show will be replayed every Tuesday at 6:30. Till next week, I'm your host, Terry Erickson, wishing you a good week. Go Eagles in this big week.
You've been watching the Mike Schmidt Football Show on KQEG TV. The Mike Schmidt Football Show is brought to you by Honda Motorworks, your electric, natural gas, and hybrid vehicle headquarters at 4th and Cass, La Crosse. By Schilling Supply, serving businesses with critical supplies since 1897. Schumacher Kish Funeral and Cremation Services in La Crosse, La Crescent, and Onalaska. And Associated Bank. Experience the better side of banking at Associated Bank. Join us next week at this same time for the Mike Schmidt Football Show.